Okay, so a few people have have asked, how did you get into it? Where did it all start? And I'd be interested in listening to your story. Well, it all started by working with my dad. 13, 14, labouring for my dad. My dad was a builder, general builder, but he done everything himself. Um, Everything, groundworks, brickwork, plastering. He didn't enjoy the decorating. He did a bit of it. Didn't touch electrics, but he did the plumbing. He did basically everything bar electrics, um, roofing. He's done it all. He was a very highly skilled man, um, and that was my teacher. So from 13, 14, I used to go work labouring with him, and I was eager. I'd be knocking up, fetching, carrying, whatever, sweeping up, cleaning up, get me this, get me that, need this, do that, whatever it was. I was a good labourer, I suppose. And when I weren't labouring, I was watching. I was like, Dad, let me have a go, let me have a go. I can do that, I can do that. And he was like, nah, you just watch. And that's how it was. And that's what I did. I laboured and I watched how things were done. Or, I had a few chances to do certain things. But I had many years of working with my dad and learning, um, and seeing all different sides of the building game. Experiencing days where the weather determined whether you was working or not, rained off, or you're concreting and there's a shower coming and you're like, quick, we've got to get this done and get it covered up, the rain's coming. So I've worked inside, outside. I've been footing ladders when he's up the top of a flipping 3-story townhouse. I remember one job. I think it was, I don't know where he was. He was up London somewhere and he was doing a job. And he was up there till it was late as well. He was doing something on a chimney, brickwork on a chimney breast right at the top, and he was working off one of them ladders all the way out. It's just crazy. Health and safety then, it wasn't, it didn't exist. I've learned from those days where there wasn't 3 men with hard hats on the ground watching one man on a hop up. Today, you see some things, and I get it's health and safety, but yeah, I've learned the other side. There weren't no health and safety when I started out. That wasn't a thing, and but these were old school builders. My dad's come from that generation. They're old school. They didn't have many tools like we've got today. So when you compare what the old school did to what we do today, everything today is more refined and fine-tuned because we have the tools. But like anything, the longer something's happening, the more it evolves, the cleaner it gets. But yeah, I remember I've got loads of stories working with Dad, doing jobs and yeah. But he was a perfectionist, and he'd done it right. Everything was done right. Which by him passing on his knowledge to me, and this is why there's the purpose of this video, is because people were asking me, where did you learn all of this? How do you know all of this? The experiences he had, he's passed the knowledge on to me. How things are done, how to do things. I've learned, I've had a good insight to all the trades. So when you see, wow, he's doing this and he's doing that, yeah, because I've learnt all of that years ago. You know, I've done it. You know, I've seen it. I know how to do it. But a lot of the knowledge that's been passed down has helped me moving forward in my career. So I spent years labouring with my dad, and then a friend of my dad's I went and done some work for as well. I had other builders that I went and done a bit of labouring for. When the tiling was quiet. But yeah, I've had a lot of experience within the building game from one end to the other. And there was a time in my life where I had to make the decision. My dad sort of was talking with my dad, and he said, right, now you need to make a decision what you're going to do. I was becoming a dad. I was a young man myself. And I was looking at the floor. I said, I'm going to be a tiler. He said, all right, get on the computer, find a course. I'll give you the money for it. Go and do the course. You need paperwork. You need a qualification in something. You can't just come into this game without any paperwork. You need something. You need a profession. You need a trade. You need to pick one. I'll help you do it. And he did. I was there. I went and done a 2-week course. It was in Harlow. I don't know if it's still going. It might be. I don't know. But that's where I went and done a 2-week course. And I remember the teacher. I got on well with him. He was an old guy, old boy, and he reminded me a lot. You know, the mentality, the knowledge. He was from the old school generation, so the old school builders. I was brought up around them, so I felt good around him. You know, and he said, right. He said to all of us, I think there was about 7 or 8 of us on this course, and we all had our own bay, and there was a load of tiles in there. And he said, right, we want you to tile a frame. The tiles are there. Just go square frame, 6 tiles by 6 tiles by 6 tiles. And I noticed that there was all mixed up, but I noticed there was 2 different colours. So I just started picking them up, and I did alternative colours all the way around. And he was like, came in and he said, I never told you to do it like that. And I thought, oh, he's going to tell me off. He said, why did you do it like that? I said, because I noticed that there was the colours of the tile and I just made a pattern. Like, that's what I said to him. And he said, no, you've done good. Well done. He said, you're the only one that's done that. But it was little things, the attention to detail that I'd learnt from working with my dad. I knew how things needed to look. I knew what a good job was. I knew what a bad job was. And I knew the difference. And this saying was, my dad told me this saying a lot. I knew the difference between clay and shit. I knew what the difference was. So today, at that time when he said, I never told you to do that. Now I understand. Yeah. Because I had the attention to detail because of the learning that I'd done when I was a kid labouring. It was those little things, you know. It was, it was just I had that experience because I'd been around it. You know, I wasn't totally green. I was in an industry. I had a good insight into multiple industries at one time. So I was very, very lucky to be in that position. So, but yeah, that's where the attention to detail started really. And it just become like a natural thing. I just knew that's what would look right. That will look better. Because I'd spent time watching my dad doing things. And I'd just be watching and watching and watching. But I never got bored. I just was always, you know, So I knew I was always going to be in the game. I always knew I was going to be in the industry. I just didn't know what path I was going to take. So I completed the course. It was only 2 weeks, as I said, but I learnt a lot, and it gave me a bit of confidence because now I was a tiler. I had no experience in doing tiling, really, to call myself a tiler after leaving that course. However, I'd done tiling jobs with my dad. I'd done tiled bathrooms. Not me personally, but I watched my dad, so I had the experience of. I knew what the products were. I knew what tiles were. I knew what grout was. I knew what adhesive was. I knew what silicone was. You know, I knew I had a good insight because I'd been around my dad when he had done the jobs. And then it was like, right, I need to start getting work. And you'll be surprised at this. I never went to work for a company. Never. I never went and worked for any tiling companies. Because I'd always worked in the domestic side with my dad, I never wanted to go to the commercial side because I didn't know it. And you hear stories and I was like, I don't want to work like that. I knew I was always going to be on the domestic side. Because that's what I learned. That's what I knew. That's where I wanted to be. So I had an advert on Yellow Pages on their website. It was a free advert. Some of you people might remember the Yellow Pages. I was actually in the book as well, and I was online as well. And I was like, right, I got my advert out, and I was starting to buy small tools. I bought a collection of tools, and it was tough because I didn't have much money. Didn't have a lot at all. I had nothing really. The truth must be told, I had nothing. And I needed a set of wheels. And I remember searching for a van. The insurance, because I was so young, I was 20. Trying to get insurance was not as expensive as it is today, but it was expensive then. And I was looking for a van. Van insurance was so expensive. I was like, oh, what can I do? I can't afford to pay for van insurance. It's too expensive. So I was like, right, I've got it. I've got the idea. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a 3-door car in white, and I'm going to black out the side windows and the back window. I'm going to make it look like a van. So what I really wanted at the time was like a Fiesta van. That you know, I was starting out. That's what I wanted. Anyway, couldn't afford a Fiesta van, and that's how long ago it was. So you can sort of, if I mention a motor, people will be able to relate to how long ago it was when I started. And I found this Renault Clio. It was a white Renault Clio, and it was 250 quid. It had a dent down the front wing. The paint was all matte white. Oh, it was a box. It was just a box. I don't even know how many miles it done, but it weren't in a good way. But it was all I could afford. And that's what I bought, a £250 car. I pushed the back seats over, pushed them down, so I opened all the back up. I went and got a customer I'd done job for. He'd done sign writing, and I got him to put white vinyl on the two rear windows and the back, and put the sign writing over the side so it looked like a van. It resembled a van, yeah. That's how I was rolling back then. And I remember, I can't remember how long I had it, but I remember the day fucking stop working that van. And don't forget, I was very new, and the phone was started to ring a bit more. But I remember one of the first jobs. I'll get back to how the van broke, because there's a story before that. I had got this job. I remember getting this job because I'll never ever forget the way the client looked at me when she opened the door and saw a young, and I looked young then. I look back at the pictures now, I was 20, I look young, man. I looked like I was 15, 12. And she opened the door and she looked at me without saying, how long you been doing this? How old are you? That's what it felt like she said, just from the look on her face. Maybe that was me carrying that because I was young, carrying that in my head, maybe. But you know, sometimes the looks the look don't lie. So anyway, she gave me that chance, she gave me that opportunity, and I won the job, probably because I was really cheap. Anyway, so I pulled up to the job, and I noticed the Clio had started giving me a few little issues, but it started in the morning and it got me to the job. Now, I was finishing up for the day, I was getting in the van, went to start it, it wouldn't start. I thought, oh, I'm right outside the customer's house, outside their drive, and this thing is not starting. Tried again, took the key out, put the key back in, just wouldn't fire over. I can't remember how, but I found the starter motor. Someone told me where it was. I went, opened the boot, got the hammer out, and I had the bonnet up, and I was whacking the starter motor because it was getting stuck. That's why it weren't turning over. And it was like that for a long time. Every time, it didn't happen all the time, but most times it just wouldn't start, and I had to whack the starter motor because it was getting stuck. But I didn't have the money to change the starter motor, and I never really asked for the money. I never asked for help. I just did everything. I was a young dad. I had to provide. I relied on me and me only. And I remember fucking lifting the bonnet, whacking the starter motor, the van to start, and I'd drive off. And that was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. But that's how it was. That's the truth. That's how it was. Didn't have no money. Couldn't afford to change it. Couldn't afford to repair it. So I just got on with it, and that was what worked, and that's what I did. It cost me nothing. Yes, it was very embarrassing, but that's what I had to do. And as I said, it was like that for a while. And then one morning that van didn't start, and I was devastated because I was at the end of a job, coming to the end of a job. And I was like, this van, I need to go to work. I remember it was raining and it just wouldn't start. The battery, it wasn't a flat, but I think the engine had just, that was it, gone. And then it started working. And I thought, this fucking thing, it was just giving me, and I was like, I need something new, like this, just not reliable. Whacking the starter motor, I was thinking that ain't really doing it any good. But that's how it was. And then I started it one morning, and I noticed, I just heard this sound, and all the fibres that was inside the exhaust started blowing out the back. So I got out and I had a look when I got to the job, and I thought, what the friggin' hell? And it was like a rat was hanging out the back of the exhaust. It was just the lining of the internal part of the exhaust was just falling apart. This thing was falling apart. But it got to the stage where I had to save the money. I had a few jobs and I saved the money. And the same garage where I bought this car, they had a Fiesta van, and it looked so good. The bodywork on it was clean. The interior was clean. It was used by, I think, a decorator, because it had some paint spilled in the back. But it was a van. It was a van. And it was a Fiesta van. And that's what I wanted. I think I gave 500 quid for it. And I was over the moon. White. Because back then it was white vans. Didn't have any coloured vans then, really. It was all white vans. And yeah, I was over the moon. I had my Fiesta van. And the guy I bought it from, he's like, he saw the state of the thing. He said, "Oh, I'm glad you bought this." Anyway, that was it then. I thought I was all right. 6 months I had this van. 6 months. And the engine blew up. Don't ask me how. I don't know. Broke my heart. I was like, this, can't believe it. 6 months. And I found myself back at that same spot again. I was like, right, I need a van. And then I come across my Vauxhall Astra van. I was, as time was going on, I was getting more work and I needed a bigger motor. And it was like an estate, but it was a van, the Vauxhall Astra van. Good vans. They were good vans. I had a lot more space in the back. I could get my long tile cutter in, which was a 600 at the time. It was a bit tight in the back of the Fiesta. I could get a few more buckets. I could get a hop up in there. You know, I was having it off. I had the space. And that van done me. That van was the best van I had in my early days. Out of the three, that was like, I think that was about £2,000 then, 1,800 quid at the time, 2.5 grand, something like that. But yeah, that van done well, and I actually sold that van to purchase a new van as time went on. But yeah, I've got, I don't know, I think I'll never forget. You know, I was in my early days trying to be looking professional, and then having to lift your bonnet outside the client's house. Don't even know if they saw or not, but having to whack the starter motor so that you can get home. I'll never forget that. But that's how it was. You know, I didn't work for a company. I worked for myself. I stayed and built myself off my own back, and that was the route, you know. And but it all started. I had a good teacher in my dad. When I decided I was going to be a tiler, of an evening, I used to watch YouTube. Start a YouTube then. I used to watch a guy called Sal de Blasi in America, and I was a big fan of his work. I loved watching his videos because I learnt a lot in the tiling game from watching his methods, and he's again from the old school generation, and he's retired now. I've spoken to him recently, a few weeks back, and he's happily retired, and but all his content is on YouTube, all his jobs, and people have asked me before, and I've always said watch him, because you're going to learn a lot, and I learned a lot. I used to literally wait before I go to sleep. I'd be watching his videos, learning methods, waterproofing, leveling systems. That was all new. But when I started, there wasn't no leveling systems, and he was the biggest thing at the time. In his time at that stage, he was you know, he was the biggest one on YouTube in the tiling game. There was other videos on there, but there wasn't at his level. And that's who I learnt from, and he's over in America, and I used to watch it on YouTube. So there was a few jokes, you know, customers would ask me, where did you learn to do this? How did you learn to do that? YouTube. And their faces would be like, what? So yeah, no, it's all fun and games, but yeah, Sal de Blasi taught me a lot. As I said, I spoke to him a few weeks back, and he gave me a lot of time. He gave me a lot of time when I used to speak to him. As I was starting out, I was eager to learn all of it, tiling. And I'd be waiting every week for his new video to be uploaded so I could watch. And I watched his methods and his approach with tiling, how he'd approach it, you know, his style. And I adopted that style, but made my own style with you know, from watching what the way he did things. But I learned a lot, as I said, I learned a lot from him, and I said to him, you know, thanks for being there to message, because we used to message back and forth over Facebook, and I have actually got the whole conversation still on my phone from day one of speaking to him to today. And then there was a period in my life where I had a showroom, and lost touch with a lot of the relationships that I built prior to that. People I used to work for, plumbers, carpenters, other people in the trade that used to call me to do the tiling. I lost touch with all of them. And it's quite sad, really, because those guys used to keep me busy, and I lost touch with them all because my life was moving in a different direction. So I was doing it all for myself, and I couldn't continue to be at service for those guys as well. But that's how it goes with work, you know. I wasn't accessible to them because I was trying to build myself. So that side of things, again, was a good experience. The less I say, the better. But I learned a lot in terms of real life. But let's just say I learned, and I learned a lot. Let's put it like that. And then we are where we are today. Today, I'm still looking to progress. I'm still looking to build. I'm still looking to go see how far I can go. I've done a lot within the industry already from all sides. I've worked with some real good brands, industry leading brands, and I've made good relationships with people within the trade, and it's been a real good journey. Like the tiling game, I've enjoyed it. I never say I want to. I've said it before. I've completed it. I've done a lot in it. Let's just say I've done a lot. I've done a hell of a lot, and I've experienced all types of this industry, and there's not much I haven't done. Let's probably say it that way, because the industry changes daily. It grows. So rather than saying I've completed it, I'll say there isn't many things I haven't done within the industry. So, but yeah, we are where we are today, and as I said, still hunger to move forward, keep growing, see how far I can go, how I can push myself. And it's funny, the first time that I got a free product was a leveling system from America. If you've been in the game the same amount of time as me, then you guys will probably remember it. It was a green clip called the MLT, and it was a big thing. It launched in America, and Mick Valpone, Italian guy, who invented it, MLT leveling system, and Sal got hold of it and was putting videos on YouTube. I'm talking a long time ago now, years ago. And that was the very first leveling system that I used, and I sent him a message. I had no credibility in terms of YouTube, nothing, no profile, nothing. I wasn't big at all. And I sent Mick a message because Sal had commented on a few of his videos, so I knew who it was. And I asked Sal, I said, where can I buy it from? He said, it's in America. He said, I haven't gone worldwide yet. He said, look, maybe ask him if you can buy it direct from him and pay the postage. I was prepared to pay for it. It's probably going to be a lot, but I wanted it. I wanted to try it. I wanted to see what this, because I'd be laying tiles with a 1200 level, 600 porcelain. That's where I learnt my craft, on a 600 porcelain. That was when they first come out. They were big. Everyone wanted it, and travertine as well, natural stone. So the methods that I had used to install those tiles, this product was like game changer. No more, you didn't need to use the level or rely on the level anymore as much. These took away the lips, and to be honest, I never really had any lips, right? And I used to lay with a level, and them tiles were banged down. They were flat from 1200. That level was touching all over. There weren't no lips there. But this product was to help minimize lippage. I was like, I've got to get it. And anyway, I sent him a message. I said, Mick, my name's Anthony. He's on Facebook. Blah blah blah. Is there any way I can buy this product? He said, where are you? I said, I'm in England. He said, don't worry, I'll send you one. I was like, what? He said, I'll send you a full kit. He said, do you want the full kit? I said, yeah. Send the full kit. Now, this was a reusable leveling system. So you had the spines, and then you'd have to click the bases that go under the tile to the spine. And then you had the green clip that went over the top. And then you had a gun, like a pull tool that went over the spine, and you pulled the trigger and it put it to a tension. But if you pulled it too much, it would break the base. So you had to get used to the tension. Now, I've got videos on my old YouTube channel. MLT leveling system. If anyone's interested, punch it in. You'll see loads of Sal's videos, Sal de Blasi's videos come up on YouTube, because he was one of the biggest pushers for that product. And he used that on all of his stuff. So you'll see it. But yeah, that's when the industry changed, because leveling systems just got massive. And I'd received this product, and I was so happy. I've actually got a picture of me assembling it all with my son sitting next to me, and yeah, that was a good day because I'd got something, and I was like, yeah, and that was what then led me to start doing my own YouTube channel. And I'd be doing videos, and I'd be putting them on Facebook. Before YouTube, I was putting them on Facebook, and then I started the YouTube years and years and years ago. But yeah, and today I'm working, I work closely with other brands, and I want to continue working with other brands and helping the industry grow. I'm doing my very best to help the industry with knowledge, through my experiences, and just help you guys. As I said, I get it a lot. I get a lot of messages from people who ask for advice, and I help as much as I can. I'm not there physically, but I can help you with advice. And it's it's been a it's been a it's been good, and I've still got a long way to go. I haven't even ain't even got halfway yet. Do you know what I mean? I'll still be doing this when I'm 70. So, but yeah, that's where I started. It all started with my dad. That's where the experience come from. That's where the knowledge all come from. So that's the man responsible for, my knowledge today. It's been passed down, and it's been refined in today's world, today's methods, today's products, and perfected in a way that I'm happy with. A standard that I work to is all based on the knowledge and the teaching that I had. So yeah, that's where it all started, from my old man. So yeah, listen, wow, that's a 40-minute video. I think this might have to go on a different platform, but that's the story. Ciao for now.